Good evening. I observed a lesson. There were no objectives written anywhere for this lesson. There was no lesson plan for me to follow along with. This lesson consisted of the teacher sitting in front of the classroom and lecturing about ancient China for an hour and 15 minutes and then giving them a quiz on what he lectured about. There were no overhead notes, no handouts or anything like that. He just talked, and they were expected to outline the chapter the night before, and his lecture came straight from the quiz. He sat there, had the quiz in front of him, and lectured about each specific question until he felt that the students would be able to get a good grade on it. And that was the class. That was the lesson. They took the quiz. Most people did well. They just memorized what he was saying right before they took the quiz. If they had any questions, they'd ask him right before the quiz, and then when they took it, they did fine. It was a multiple choice, simple quiz. So I don't really think any real learning occurred. I think it was rote memorization. I don't think anybody could reproduce the results of that quiz in a day or a week or however long. So that being said, that's basically what we talk about not to do in class. So what would I do differently? I like ancient China. Okay, that's one of my favorite parts of history. So it bummed me out to see it being taught in this way. So just a couple activities I thought of when I was sitting there watching. When you're talking about the Silk Road, for instance, you could have an activity where you divide the class in half, like move the desks to either side of the room and have a Silk Road going in between them. And then have different goods for students to trade as they walk along the Silk Road. Whatever the SOLs say they have to know. So it's like porcelain and silk and whatever else you can think of, really. And just assign some sort of value system to it. Just have them be able to actually do this, so they'll remember later that Silk Road used for trade. What did they trade? Well, we had that silk and that porcelain, and yeah, that's on this standard of learning test. Good, I remember. And another activity that I thought of, you could have a group of students represent Mongol invaders from the north and have them on one side of the class and have them keep coming in and stealing the goods that people were trading. And so the Chinese population, which would be the rest of the class, has to construct a great wall to be able to keep them out. And until they construct it, they keep coming in. So they'll understand why the Great Wall was constructed instead of who built it in what year. These are just a couple activities right off the top of my head that I think would be a lot more engaging. You could divide students up into groups, assign them each a dynasty, have them become experts on it, draw a poster or something about it, display it so you can refer back to it throughout the unit. I think that these would have been useful strategies. That's what I probably would have done if I was teaching it.